Welcome back from Capitol Hill. Debt ceiling negotiations intensifying this week as attention also turns to 2024. Not only the race for president, but Wisconsin's U.S. Senate race. Democratic U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin recently announcing her official re-election bid. Now, our new interview with her. Let's start with the debt ceiling, the negotiations as we are here in Washington. A lot happening behind the scenes. I'm curious at least where we sit today. Do you have a line, or what are you willing to accept in terms of these negotiations, in terms of potential cuts or more work requirements, as a compromise, I guess, needs to happen sometime soon?
Well, I want to start by saying that default must be off the table. It is absolutely appropriate for us to be negotiating future spending, but it is not appropriate to play brinksmanship with the full faith and credit of the United States of America. And we must pay the bills that we've already incurred. We cannot default.
It appears some Senate Democrats would like the president to use the 14th Amendment to bypass Congress. Are you part of that?
I have not signed on to any letter. What I would say, again, is we cannot default. And at times where we have seen the brinksmanship that brings us close, it hurts real people. The economic consequences, interest rates increasing, the downgrading of our credit rating as a nation, these get to be very, very serious matters. And we've been able to resolve the debt issues and the default issues on a bipartisan basis under Republican presidents and Democratic presidents. But the repetitive brinksmanship causes real harm, and it would be great to ultimately figure out a way where that can't happen anymore.
So should that be an option given where we sit today and June 1 fast approaching?
Well, we have a couple weeks yet, and I want to see every effort made to resolve this.
Why did you decide to seek another term, and what will be your biggest challenge in winning re-election?
Yeah, look, I'm going to echo something that Joe Biden said in his re-election kickoff. We need to finish the job. So we've passed this amazing set of policies and reforms. The Infrastructure Act is one among them. These are not one and done. These are not things that just passed and now we do it. We need to make sure we follow through on the commitments in these pieces of legislation. I always focus on these kitchen table issues. The opportunity to work and get ahead, the opportunity to have affordable health care and prescription drugs, and to have clean water. Those are the things that I focus on behalf of Wisconsinites, and we have to see the job through.
You hit on something that Republicans say to me a lot. They say, as you look to your re-elections, they say, hey, you're really good at fundraising. You have a lot of money. And they also say you're good at disguising your liberal record and act as a moderate during campaign season. How do you respond to that?
I have this alliteration I always reinforce with my own staff of the pillars of what we work on: wellness, work, and water. That is my agenda.
Are you confident in President Biden's ability to win re-election?
He won Wisconsin in 2020. He is running on such a record of accomplishment. The infrastructure bill, the CHIPS and Science Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, Safer Communities Act. It is a record that is making a difference in people's lives every day. He tells that story, he wins Wisconsin.
No Republican has officially entered the race yet, but several are considering, including Congressman Tom Tiffany. You've said you're going to decide by this summer whether to run for U.S. Senate. What would cause you in your mind to not run at this point?
The ultimate calculus for me has always been, where can I do the most good for the people of the state of Wisconsin, including when I was in the state legislature? And that's going to be the ultimate question.
Would you like to see a large primary or candidates coalescing behind one or two candidates?
I think it's probably better to coalesce, and I'm having some discussions with people who have been considering running, and I think it's important for us to talk ahead of time. Now, if there's a primary, That's good. I mean, let's have a good debate about who would the best candidate be. But I think you're going to see some discussions that are going to go on here behind the scenes that let's see if we can coalesce around somebody who has the ability to defeat Senator Baldwin.
And it's going to take a lot of money to run against her.
It's going to take a lot, and that certainly enters into the calculus of whether to run or not. You got to be able to fund your campaign to be able to compete.
You decided yet on Senate for next year? I know you love this question.
No, gosh. No. Oh, yeah, sure. I have a hearing in a half hour for the Select Committee on China. As George Orwell once said, to see what is in front of one's nose demands a constant struggle. And so I'm focusing on the mission at hand, which is making the China Committee a success, providing world-class constituent services. The Senate campaign is a long way away.
Up next, Jaron's back with the latest on the shared revenue bill negotiations and the latest on the debt ceiling here in Washington.